do you do, fellow kids? I'm here with my take on what we might be seeing on the fan stream that's happening on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2023. I wanted to kind of record a few of my thoughts and just kind of go through what we might be seeing and what I'm hoping to see. Let me let's go through this. Obviously, we're talking about the February 14th fan stream. If you're watching this before the fan stream, these are my predictions. If you're watching this after the fan stream, you'll get to see how close I was to my predictions and laugh at me if I am not correct. But this is just kind of like what I'm guessing and kind of what I'm hoping. Kind of low stakes there. I'm not claiming to have any inside knowledge. I'm just going by what I've seen on social media, consensus among the fan community, and sort of basing my predictions on what I'm getting a sense from the community itself. So first of all, I think we're going to have pre-orders for a 5-figure wave, and I think rock and roll is going to be part of that wave, based on how early we saw this reveal of the digital render. I think I wanted to comment on this because it is the furthest departure of what we've seen as far as kind of where we are now with the classified line, where we expect classified figures to look like their vintage equivalents. So we're seeing a lot of tattoos, and I know that this is not new to rock and roll. There have been more modern figures with a more kind of like rock and roll, like modern take. So he's got the two-tone shirt with the tattoos. I actually think this is a great version of this figure. I think the original, or most of the original 1982 lineup has a little bit of a boring slant to it. I know that some people really, really love the original 13, and I do too. I've grown into my appreciation for them, but if I have to be true to what I thought as a kid, I thought the original G.I. Joes were a little bit boring. I didn't really understand them. I just thought they were early versions of kind of the characters that we kind of grew to love. But rock and roll did stand out. He was really cool. He came with a lot of really cool accessories, and that's actually what I think of. If you're going to be true to rock and roll, you got to have the bullet bandoliers, which this version has, and you got to have that. I think it's an M60. I'm not a huge weapons expert, but I think that's what we're looking at here, and I think this figure delivers. I like it. I like the extra hand sculpt with the like rock and roll devil horns, that type of thing. It says Hang 10 on his helmet, which goes back to the character's backstory being a surfer. I think this is cool. And kind of stepping back to what I was my original thought process is that you got to make for classified, it's kind of like pulling out those details of the character that were lost in those kind of like simplistic sculpts on a smaller action figure back in the 1980s. So what we're seeing here is that we're seeing a little bit of differentiation between rock and roll and breaker. You don't want to have these guys to have the exact same uniform. So I think the two-tone shirt plays into that. It's not an obvious choice, but I think it's a creative choice that I'm willing to say that it works. I like it. And again, I think a lot of this character is the bandolier and the weapons, the kit, and I think they delivered with this. So I'm really stoked to see this. Just for fun, I thought I'd put kind of a side by side comparison to the vintage figure, and you can see kind of like how how they've kind of gone in a divergent direction on this figure. And like and again, I think we're gonna get more kind of green team, and I think they're going to look for ways to make those green team, the green team characters, stand out from each other. We'll get to Grunt in a little bit because I know that's kind of in the pipeline. So I think Rock and Roll is going to be part of the pre-orders for Tuesday, along with Shipwreck. Shipwreck is very close to his vintage character. The weapons loadout and everything, it makes a lot of sense. So I don't think there's a lot to say about this except for classic character, great character, and I'm thrilled. I love the fact that the G.I. Joe classified versions are highly detailed 6-inch versions of what we got in the 1980s. That's what I want in this line. I don't mind having like a little, like another version, a new take, but for to kind of lead with the classic versions, I think is good. Hey, I'm all about nostalgia. It's in the name of my YouTube channel, so no one should be surprised. The third part of this wave, I think, is going to be Torpedo. Torpedo, again, I think they've been very true to the vintage version. One of the additions to the accessory package here is that machine gun. Torpedo basically only came with the spear gun, which was really cool, but the kind of like earlier GI Joes were kind of light on accessories. I mean, like backpack, gun, like weapon, and his weapon was that spear gun. The pops of red, I think, are really cool, because I think once we get into some more of the divers, I think these color pops are going to kind of make them stand out from each other. I do actually have a vintage Torpedo. Looks great. The breather, or the pack that he comes with, the oxygen tanks, is really cool. I'm wondering about like what this looks like on the backside. I'm hoping it has that same kind of like look and feel to it than that the vintage version had, and really excited about this one too. And then so this is the comparison to the vintage version. So basically the classified version's taking a lot of cues, but in order to kind of like make it kind of stand out, I assume at some point we're going to get a wetsuit, and a wetsuit is very colorful and very different from Torpedo. So I think those are gonna obviously be visually separated from each other. And Wetsuit was another character who didn't come with a weapon, with like a machine gun. So I'm kind of expecting him to actually the classified version to come with a weapon. It's like another machine gun, and so I'm curious to see like how how these two characters will look next to each other. The scuba divers were a big part. I mean, we had a lot of cool Cobra army builders. The eels are one of my favorite characters. Not sure if we're going to get any pipeline reveal of the eels, but I wouldn't be surprised because if we're getting Torpedo, we got to have someone for Torpedo to fight. You got to have his nemesis, and the eels are the ones that fill that slot. I got to mention that the eels were like gray, black, and red too. So I wonder if I'm obviously they're gonna be different, but yeah, just out of curiosity, I'm wondering what they're gonna look like, in comparison. The fourth figure in this wave is going to be. It looks like it's going to be the only Cobra. Is Copperhead. I do love I do love Copperhead. I think he looks really great. I love his accessories that they're coming with. The two pistols. I mean, talking about first of all, these two pistols, like, what do they remind me of? I mean, obviously the Mauser, that German looking, actually not a Mauser, but a Luger looking gun. It's reminiscent of Nazi Germany and that, and so very appropriate for a villain. He does have he also has tattoos. So this wave I feel like it's all going to be about tattoos, and then that pistol, that revolver with the scope, reminds me of Road Warrior. The villain in that Humongous had like a revolver, like a Magnum with a scope, and then he comes with a machete. Just a really cool weapons loadout. But I have to mention that the importance of getting Copperhead as a single package figure, a single pack figure, is that it gives me hope that we're going to see a lot more vehicle drivers. I mean, obviously because of the scale, Classified isn't going to have a lot of vehicle drivers or a lot of vehicles. So I think there are certain characters that we're going to need, we're going to need, we're going to need to have as like boxed figures, single release figures. And yeah, just, I mean, some of the ones that come to mind are I'm blanking, but like Clutch. Clutch was an important part of the kind of the storylines and the comic books and things like that. Yeah, it would be cool to get a vamp. So maybe Clutch isn't out of the picture. But I think of characters like Ace and Wild Weasel. Are those vehicles, the Sky Striker and the Rattler, are they out of the question? I don't know how expensive those would be, what the price point would be, and whether or not we would be able to see those. Are we going to get an Ace that's scaled down to a smaller jet or a smaller flying vehicle or something like that? So anyway, that's just my thoughts, and obviously having Copperhead released is kind of part and parcel with that. The other thing I wanted to mention was he's got that like really weird. I think it's supposed to be kind of like a scuba, like a mini scuba breather on the outside of his helmet. It does cut a weird like shape into his front facing like image. I'm hoping that once we have a figure in hand, or once we see like actual reveals of what the figure looks like, that you know it doesn't look as goofy as it does, because it kind of looks like Kermit the Frog or something. Anyway, I've talked way too long about Copperhead. Um, the fourth figure in this wave seems to be, the consensus seems to be, is like regular Bazooka. Already gotten, and I have my Tiger Force Bazooka. He looks great, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my regular original recipe Bazooka. One of the things that I want to say about the repaints is that we've gotten a lot of repaints with the exact same accessory loadout. And I know that it creates more logistics and stuff, but I think if the repaints, if we got repaints and the weapons loadout and the accessories were just a little different, I think they would be, I think they'd be a hotter commodity. I think a lot of people would really enjoy them more. I know we've gotten several different versions of Snake Eyes, and he always comes with kind of like, a little bit of different accessories, which I appreciate. But I'm thinking more about the bats. The bats, we've gotten reveals and releases of 3 versions of the bats, and they basically all come with the same hand, like hand accessories. Like if each one of them had like a new attachment for the hand, I think that would blow people's minds. Like, like at the Crimson Guard one had like a chainsaw, and the Python Patrol one had like a I don't know, like a knife or a sword or something. I think people would be much more receptive to receiving, like getting the same sculpts. Don't get me wrong, I do like the variation, and I wish we would see a little more spacing out, because the Python Patrol bat and the regular bat kind of like, they were revealed in the same week. And even though I got my regular bat, months before my Python Patrol bat, I think it would have made a lot more sense if they were just kind of spaced out a little more. But yeah, that's just my my commentary on that. I don't really expect any different accessories on Bazooka. I haven't looked, and I mean, I looked around and I couldn't find any of the digital renders with the accessories included. So I'm assuming it's just going to be the same accessories that came with the Tiger Force version. So, it is what it is, I guess. Yeah, so pretty similar to the vintage release. Now I'm going to move on. We're going to talk about some of the deluxe reveals that we've had in the past few months, one of the things that strikes me about the lineup for what we assume is going to be the regular, regular wave of 5 figures that I just kind of went over, is there are no army builders. So I kind of expect something like this to be like a Hasbro or a fan channel exclusive for army builders. I don't know. I don't know what I can say about this set. I like it. I'm probably going to mix and match a little bit of the accessories, because it kind of bugs me that one has like beige secondaries and accessories, and one has black secondaries and accessories. I just kind of like want to, I'm probably going to play around so that each of the figures has some beige and some black accessories and secondaries and stuff. The accessories look cool to me. The pistols, rifles, machine guns, backpacks, the extra head with the gas mask looks cool. Probably going to get a couple of these just so that I can kind of like create a variation and have a few different like have like a squad of female troopers to kind of mix in with my the male troopers that I have. So, cool deal. I like it. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this. Other than army builders are cool. They kind of like, beef out the ranks of Cobra. The other thing about that wave that we went over, we talked about like 4 GI Joe figures and only 1 Cobra. So having Cobra army builders in addition to that makes a lot of sense to me. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the one that goes up for pre-order. But there are some other deluxe Cobra army builders that could just as well be part of what what's dropping on Tuesday. So another recent reveal was Big Ben. Big Ben is very similar to his vintage version, and then he comes with this alternate head to kind of give him a little bit of an army builder option. And actually, I'm going to take that back so that we can look at the weapons loadout. He comes with a lot of really cool weapons. He does come with an alternate head, and sort of the precedent has been that they raised the price a little bit on these on any character with an alternate head. I'm hoping that's not the case with Big Ben, because I don't really see like $35 worth of worth of value here. And with the alternate head, I would be tempted to buy 2, and so I'm actually really hoping that they stick to the standard $25 price point for him. But then again, I'm also putting this lower on the likelihood of this being part of what we're getting on Tuesday, but it could be, and I don't know for sure. So this past week, we got some digital render reveals. I do think that all of these are deluxe. I believe that this is going to have a deluxe price for Snow Job. Again, I really like this. I wish that they had, I wish that part of his weapons loadout, along with this rifle, I think this rifle is cool, the sniper rifle. But I wish that they also included like the Sunbow laser rifle with that. And but I do like the inclusion of these like modern looking snowshoes. The skis are a must. Ski poles. He looks great. I think he looks good. He kind of, it's I looked at the vintage version. I don't have Snow Job. I don't have a vintage version of Snow Job. He does have a little bit of brown, but most of his sort of like accessories and stuff are black. So they're kind of like, reinterpreting that color scheme. And I'm wondering if it's because we might get a different snow trooper or one of the other Joes that has more black accessories, and so it would make him stand out from I don't know, whoever. The driver of the Snowcat, which I do have. That's like I'm totally blanking on. But anyway, I think this looks great. Nothing else to say. definitely gonna get him. This one I was really excited about. I was really excited when they revealed this figure as a pipeline reveal. I love I love scrap metal, scrap iron, scrap metal. He does look a lot like his vintage counterpart. Um, I have this one. It's it's one of those figures that he's like he was so early in the line. I didn't have him as a kid, but I knew people who had him, and it was like one of those figures that I just like looked at, and I loved all the details. And he's got the scar on the cheek, the cool helmet, and everything. Um, I was full force. I think last week was saying that they have it on good authority. Maybe I think the sculptor had said that this helmet is removable, and it's just not something that they're revealing here in the render. But people expect that to be revealed pretty soon. I think that's great. I think that's awesome. I'm debating on whether to army build scrap metal. I know scrap iron. I know that he is he's an individual and not an army builder, but he looks so cool, and he looks like he could be like a trooper, like a heavy weapon specialist. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it. And I don't know. I'll probably get two just for fun. Just just beef up a squad. Have a couple of these these remote like missile launcher whatevers. So anyway, pretty cool. Oh, I am noticing that his boots are not red, which which makes sense for classified. Like keeping it, kind of like that choice was a little crazy. But other than that, you got beat for beat. Like this is a detailed 6-inch version of what that action figure was supposed to look like. So really cool. I'm digging it. Again, here's another one that I'm super excited about, and it's funny to see like scrap iron and the Televiper kind of revealed together. I do kind of associate these because I did buy those together from from someone a couple of years ago, and I got an amazing deal. I got them complete. Beautiful beautiful specimens of those figures. Truth be told, I had the Televiper as a kid. I have a lot of fond memories of this figure. I'm super excited about getting another one. I love this, this 3 different alternate heads to kind of like, to army build and have a variety of them. I was originally thinking about getting 2. Now I'm thinking about getting 3. I love the Televipers. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably not going to put the Televipers in the Trouble Bubbles. I'm probably going to put those put some different figures on there. And we'll just have to see kind of like who's in there. Maybe Cobra Commander and maybe one of my Snake Eyes can commandeer one, chase him around. Chase him around my toy room. But yeah, I want to get multiples of these, at least 2, and kind of create, kind of put them in with my squad. Again, all these deluxe ones, I think we're gonna get pre-orders like spaced out throughout the year. I don't think they're all gonna drop. this Tuesday. I think one or two of kind of like what we've seen past that original five figure wave. I think is going to be I think it's going to drop on Tuesday. I think we'll get at least one, and maybe this one because we've been hearing about this one for a while. Again, here's the vintage version. I think they did a great job of creating a detailed version of what that vintage action figure was supposed to look like. And then the trouble bubble. Yeah, I mean, I they really did a great job of taking what that vintage toy looked like and making like what we've always wanted. This was a surprise. I didn't expect this. I was expecting green shirts when they talked about GI Joe Army Builders, but this makes a lot of sense to me. I really think this is cool. I know this is going to be an expensive set. They're throwing in all those blast effects and things like that. The weapons, I think most of these weapons are things that came with the Viper 3-pack. But the figures are great. The jetpacks are great. The alternate helmets are cool. The steel core, which is what they're calling them now. I'm going to use the vintage inspired helmets, but those other helmets, I think I'm probably going to use for some different figures. I don't know yet, but probably throw together a kit bash of something. So anyway, that concludes the reveals from this last week. And then there's the vintage version. There were actually, I don't know, like 5 different vintage versions of the Steel Brigade. I just grabbed one just to kind of like look, and I think they did a really good job of getting the look and feel. That helmet, that helmet sculpt really does a good job of calling back to the original. I do have a Steel Brigade from Balaverse that I think is really awesome. But again, I'm all about nostalgia, and this is the one that's really hitting that nostalgia spot. But don't get me wrong, I don't regret getting that Balaverse one. When those were revealed, I was like, yeah, I gotta get this. This is super cool. When I was a kid, I didn't really think Steel Brigade was all that great, but yeah, as a collector, I'm just like, oh yeah, those were really cool, So the other thing I wanted to talk about was some of the pipeline reveals, just to kind of go over those, and I think we're probably going to see some digital renders of whatever whatever the next wave is going to be. We've actually gotten more pipeline reveals than would make sense for a 5-figure wave. But let's talk about what those were. First of all, we had Hawk. I know there's an earlier version of Hawk that was part of the green team. I actually think that the classified version is going to go with the more iconic version of Hawk, which was version 2. I had this character as a kid. Loved him to death. I think, I can't wait to see what a classified version would look like. Tunnel Rat is another character that they teased. Now, I also want to call out that there was a Tiger Force Tunnel Rat. And so one of the things that I think we might see on Tuesday is a tease of what the next Target exclusives are going to be. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Tiger Force Tunnel Rat before we get the original recipe Tunnel Rat, because that's what we saw with Bazooka. We got Tiger Force Bazooka before we're going to get We're going to get regular bazooka. Same thing with Recondo and I'm blanking. The other guy. Yeah, survivalist. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get a reveal of a Tiger Force tunnel rat, and we're just kicking the can down the road on a regular tunnel rat. Low light is another one in the pipeline. Tripwire, again, Tripwire had a Tiger Force version, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting a tease of the Tiger Force Target exclusive on Tuesday. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that Target is having a collector event later this month, so that's probably when those pre-orders are going to open for Tiger Force, Python Patrol. We've already seen leaks of the Python Patrol Crimson Guard. So if we're talking about a 3-figure wave of Target exclusives, maybe we're talking about Tiger Force Tripwire, Tiger Force Tunnel Rat, and Python Patrol Crimson Guard. Maybe, but who knows? Grunt, again, part of the green team. I wouldn't be surprised if we got some sort of variation, something that deviates from his vintage design, so that he differentiates himself from Breaker and Rock and Roll. I'd love to get an M16. I think I think it's about time Hasbro has not shied away from like 80s style weapons and stuff. We've got Uzis and things like that. So why not an M16? I'd love to see it. Chuckles is another character that we might see. Agent Helix was something that was brought into the modern line. Honestly, I don't know a lot about Agent Helix. I think she looks cool. So I assume that a classified version is going to look dope. Firefly, they mentioned Firefly, and I don't know if they elaborated, but I'm assuming that this is a redesign of Firefly so that he's closer to his vintage version. Firefly came out as a Target exclusive very early in the line, and he very much deviated from his classic look. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Don't get me wrong, I like the Target exclusive Firefly that they came out with a couple of years ago. But I didn't care too much for his accessories. And I think if they do a vintage version, I think they're probably going to give us those vintage inspired accessories, which I like a lot more, and wouldn't mind a redesigned version that doesn't have the Bomb Squad jacket. So then we're going to have Ripper and Buzzer. Don't hate me, but all the Dreadnoks are like the same guy, so I'm not sure exactly who Ripper and Buzzer. I'm not sure which one is Ripper and which one's Buzzer, but I think I got that in the right order. But again, I'm excited to have more Dreadnoks. It's been too long. I know they're kind of like spacing them out. Hasbro does this a lot with their teams. They like to space them out so that someone who's not like oh, I'm just a Dreadnoks fan, so I'm just going to buy like if all the Dreadnoks came out in one wave, like people who are just Dreadnoks fans would just buy those and then stop collecting. They want to kind of like space things out to kind of keep everybody engaged. So people who are Dreadnoks fans, they got Zartan, then they bought Zarana, and now they're like waiting and buying other ones along the way. So That's how they get their hooks into you. Um, then we got Shadow Tracker, another modern figure. Looks really cool. Super cool design. Don't have a lot to say. Not very knowledgeable about this character. But again, like, they're all over the map with these characters. I mean, they're focusing on the more classic, like 1982 to 1985, or 1987-ish, I think, I would say. But every once in a while, they'll give us something that's like post vintage era, or something that's even in like the second half of GI Joe. I think they're, again, they're trying to like mix it up to kind of keep everybody engaged, like people who are fans of the modern versions, later characters, earlier characters, and that type of thing. We're going to get Range Vipers. Really interested in seeing this. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on with this character design. But I've always kind of like thought that there were things about this that missed the mark. Like, he's a guy with a skull mask, and like he has like exposed brain or something. Like, I don't know what's going on there. So I'm hoping like a more detailed sculpt will kind of like make things about this make sense. I do love that accessory, that like grenade launcher, and that type of thing. So really curious to see what this is going to look like in the classified line. And then one that I would say that's in contention for one of my favorite figures of all time is the Snow Serpent. I actually have like several action figures of Snow Serpents. I've got a few of the accessories and stuff. I only have like one of that like parachute pack. So I could, and I think I only have one of that version of the AK-47. So I think I could only have like I only have like one complete Snow Serpent, but I've got a few of those. I think I have four, because I really love that sculpt. Really cool. Again, the vintage version like loses a lot of details with that face mask, and I think the classified line could really make that work well. I'd love to see what they can do with this. So anyway, I really only think we're going to get a few of the reveals for these figures, on Tuesday. But I just kind of wanted to like go over everything that we've kind of seen in the past, or what they've revealed as far as like name only reveals. The other one that they talked about was mole rats, and there's a lot of like debate on what this means. I think a lot of what I've heard is people like thinking maybe this is a new army builder, a new Cobra army builder that might be kind of like the opposite of Tunnel Rat, which I can see where you get that, like moles, rats, and calling them mole rats, like that's like a brand new army builder that goes along with what we kind of see like vermin and kind of unsavory type animals, code names for a Cobra. My theory now, I think that could totally be possible. I don't think that's my hot take, what I think might be the what this is about, and there's a little bit of a little progression of logic here, so I hope you can follow me. So I did some Googling about mole rats, and one of the features of mole rats is that they typically die of disease, and they don't die of old age. So there's no like age there's no like age range for this animal. And therefore, by like, process of elimination, they are immortal. And so kind of that immortals makes me think that we might be getting Crimson Immortals, which I think would be super cool, because the Crimson Guards are my favorite so far. They're my favorite GI Joe classified army builders that they've come out with. The Crimson Immortals, they've got a pretty cool look, but they came out in an era where the sculpts were chunkier and less detailed. And I think if they took this and they reinterpreted it into a GI Joe classified, it would look great. So I don't necessarily know if Mole Rats is the Crimson Immortals, but either way, I hope at some point we get Crimson Immortals in the toy line, and I'd love to see what they do with it. So anyway, that's just kind of like my hot take. The last thing that I will say is I do hope that they continue on with the O-ring and specifically vehicles. And because we already know that they have the sculpt and the molds for basically this vehicle, because this and the Stinger are so similar. I can't imagine that this I can't imagine that this would be far behind. So I'm hoping we get some vamps that we can order, some O-ring vamps, vintage style vamps that we can enjoy. But anyway, that is my whole presentation, my whole diatribe. All the things that I think about in the shower and while I'm sitting in traffic, and just wanted to kind of dump it out here on YouTube. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. My throat's dry. I'm dying. I gotta end this video. But yeah, if you're watching this after the stream and I'm totally wrong, I'd love to, I'd love to be made fun of in the comments. Please, do you think my take is better than what we got? Anyway, I'd love to hear it, and have a good night.